guess what? Stream crashed. If you want the second first, go ahead and claim it now. Warple with the first. Congratulations. Of course it crashes today. But, hey, you know, like, suffers in ads. Rip. Love you. Thanks for giving me a cent. I appreciate it. Where was I? Yes, the loading screens are very unpolished for Perspectrum. Very unpolished, just sketches. And it would have been nice if they'd taken the time. Why did the ad freeze? Oh, rip. Rip. I'm so sorry, Warple. I'm so sorry. But yes, yeah, if they took more time for the loading screens, that would have been good. And so, well, it has some underutilized mechanics. Perspectrum has both lava and acid, both of which are almost functionally identical. It's implied lore-wise that the acid is like taking over the mountain, but what'd you miss? You're about caught up. You're about caught up. Like, I've just recapped some of the stuff that happened with the stream crash. So if you saw the stream crash, yeah, we're still at about the same spot. Don't worry. Okay. Yeah, so the lava and the acid in the game are almost functionally identical. There are a couple instances where you use acid to melt some objects that could honestly have been set on fire anyway. So, yeah, I feel as though, like, yeah, you could have just done one thing instead of two. But that's... I mean, it definitely looks better on the icon to have 4 different areas, 4 different aesthetics. But yeah, just a little bit more polish on that front would have been really great, really great. Alright. Here's my review, though. This game suffers from an issue that tiny indie games often suffer from: a lack of polish. However, without a doubt, it is still fantastic regardless. The ability to change where platforms and hazards are to make an area navigatable is fun and engaging. I feel as though some mechanics were a little underutilized. For example, acid was almost identical to lava, and it would have been nice to be able to do something more with the differences between the two. This aside, I had a lot of fun with this game. The areas that are in the game are well done, and it lets you explore however you see fit. You do have to 100% the game to see the ending, but that isn't a hard thing to achieve. Is it worth it? An enjoyable experience, good bang for your buck. And yeah, basically, like, the game even, like, tells you how many collectibles are in each area that you've gotten, and I find that really nice. And it also has a secondary round where you go through each area again to find extra hidden ones, and they aren't, like, too far out of the way. You just have to do weird things to make sure that you don't, like, lock yourself out of them, and even then, if you re-enter the area, you can, yeah, it's not that hard. It's to do that. It's pretty good. It's, yeah, for a first game, it's really good. I was able to glitch out of bounds, I think, in 2 different areas. One of them is a definite soft lock. If you do this, you have to exit and restart the game, otherwise you're gonna fall infinitely into the void. But, for the most part, it's very well constructed. Very well constructed. Just needs more of that polish, like tighter platforming, because, like, there's like a little bit of precision platforming toward the end of the game, which is, it didn't feel quite right when the game's a puzzle game. But yeah, I think overall, I think the game is, I'm gonna put it in A tier for now. It's good. Like, it's a good game. It's very clever. I like that a lot. So we're gonna put that there. I may end up putting it into, like, upper B tier, but I think like, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a good game. So that's where we're gonna put it for now. Let's see. Next, Shipwreck! Okay, Shipwreck. So, this is a Zelda-like game, so if you like the top-down Zeldas, this is an interesting take on the series. Yeah, it's a top-down adventure RPG, and it's $3, so it's very, very cheap. It's very cheap. And I finished it in about 3 hours. It's easy to pick up. It has a good health system and a silly world. The fucks. Yes. Yes, the 4 elemental fucks will live on in history. I think it was the first one, Whirlpool. We'll have to wait for Snoop Pigeon. But the cons are some annoying puzzle mechanics, it's generic, there are no secrets, and a lot of backtracking. And I think the fact that it's generic is the biggest hit against this game, because it's fun. The health system in this game is you pick up, like, enemies will drop apples, which you can use to restore health when you need it. So, if you play your cards right, you can stockpile health for later, and it's very well done. It's very fun and engaging to do this way. So that way, even when you kill a monster, and it doesn't drop health, you still have something for later. Or not health. Even if it doesn't drop money, you still have something for later. So that way it feels very rewarding, and I enjoyed that a lot. Now, like I said, though, there's a lot of backtracking, so every time you finish an area, you have to backtrack through a maze all the way back to town. That part was kind of annoying. Let's see the review here. It's almost exactly what it says on the tin, a take on the classic Zelda experience. It's that, and nothing more. The food and healing systems are the most unique thing about it, which is good, because I love the system, which allows you to store all potential health drops for when you actually need them. It's functional, with no bugs I can find, and the puzzles were simple, effective, and well constructed. And is it worth it? Amazing bang for your buck, but very little unique to it. Perfect to scratch that Zelda itch. So, yes, with a price of $3, it's hard to go wrong. And, like, I think that this game, like, yeah, it could have done with a little bit more flavor. Like, you land on this island and people go like, hey, you, random stranger, we'll give you a boat to go home if you, like, do this thing for us and seal away the evil in the tower. And that's what you do. You've been trapped in the buffer. Rip. Ripperoni. But yeah, it's exactly what it says on the tin and nothing more. Nothing more. So, I'm gonna put Shipwreck, it's either in B or C tier. I'm gonna put it in B for now. Like, it's good, but not great. Like, it's functional, it's fun, it's just got some oversight, some parts that it's lacking in, so that's why it's a B tier for me. Okay, let's see. Beacon! Okay, Beacon. Oh, Beacon. Oh, man. Alright. So, this is a roguelike. It's hard for me to say if it's a roguelike or a roguelite, because while you gain benefits, they aren't necessarily permanent. Beacon was an amazing game to watch. Honestly, I should play it more. I'm gonna say it. This is the only tiny game on here. The only tiny game on this entire list that I want to play more. Is that a honey shuckle I see? Is that a Mary the Lemon Drop I see? Hello! How are you doing? It's been a while since we've really talked. How are you doing? We're currently ranking all the games I've played for Tiny Game Tuesday. So if you want a recap of what I've been doing for the past 6 months, this is a pretty good way to catch up. You're doing great? Hell yeah! Love to hear it. Right, so we're currently talking about Beacon, the roguelike experience. And it is a top-down shooter roguelike. And it's a sci-fi. I listed it also as a bullet hell because I think that kind of fits. There's a lot of projectiles in this game. A lot of projectiles. And each run takes about an hour. I want to say, unless you're actively trying to go fast. Beacon calls itself a sci-fi action roguelite. Roguelite it is. Beacon is definitely at least an A, in your opinion. Alright. I'm gonna think on that a little bit. But yeah, Beacon is the only one of these games that I want to come back to and play some more. And pros here. Every item in this game has lore. Every single one. If you have the item, you can go look at it and it will have text. And often that text will also have a joke in it. And you have these over-the-top descriptions where the weapons are described as products that are being pitched to you. So like if you liked our previous grenade launcher, how about this one that has 6 barrels? And it's so fucking funny. I love it. I love the humor in this game. It is beautiful, beautiful humor. And like because of that, you also get like you can kind of get a gauge for, it's like Pikmin 2. I believe Pikmin does have a thing where every item has lore. Yeah. So there you go. Beacon's like Pikmin. There we go. That's all wrapped up. But yes, the game also has this mutation system, which I've listed as fun for the pros. So every time you complete a run, you have DNA, which you can use to augment your stats. So you have like 4 slots? 5 slots? I think it's 5 slots. And you can put your DNA into those slots, and depending on what species it's from, you can get different benefits. And when they mutate, it augments your abilities even more. For example, there's one that lets you fly, there's one that lets your arm become a flamethrower, there's all sorts of things in this game. There's so many mutations, I don't even know all of them. And it's got gorgeous graphics. That's also listed here in the pros. Gorgeous graphics. It's got this aesthetic and such pretty lighting, and like you can feel yourself kind of become immersed in the world. When I first started playing this game, because this is actually the only Tiny Game Tuesday that I've played before I featured it in Tiny Game Tuesday. Like, yeah, none of the rest of these games are ones I came back to. Beacon is the only one, and I think that goes to show that I love this game. Yeah, it's an obvious labor of love and oppressive bang for system requirements. Yes. I'm glad I put that here, because usually with graphics that look this good, I can't stream them. It's just too intense on my computer. But with Beacon, I don't know what wizardry they did, but I could run it while also streaming, and I don't think it heated up much at all. I don't know how they did it. There's sorcery in here. The cons of the game, it's that there's clunky platforming, runs can be a little bit long, so if you like to do like some quick roguelikes, that's not a good, it's not good for you. But it also has a pretty big difficulty spike toward the end. Yeah, so like it's pretty level most of the time with like the same kind of basic enemies, and then you just get this spike where you have to fight so many enemies at once. And I get that that's what they're trying to prep you for. That's part of the challenge. And then there's a bit of a lull before you hit the final boss. Yeah, I think that difficulty spike is maybe a little bit much sometimes, but maybe I also just need to get good. But that's something that kinda isn't the best, but let's see here. Review. Beacon is a game I keep coming back to. Yep, even back then I knew it. Its visual appeal is stunning, its lore hilarious, its combat gritty and on the edge of your seat. It's difficult, but that's what you look for in a roguelite. Because unless you're a dumbass and let yourself get crushed by a 2-ton shipping container, the deaths feel very fair. No, I'm not speaking from experience with getting crushed by a shipping container. I am. The worst part about it was that there was one of your previous corpses right next to it. So, I probably should have known better. Yes, I'm a little bit salty. Yeah. Salty emote. I'll think on it. I'll see what I can think of. Yeah, the mutation system does a wonderful job of making every run unique. Even if you don't get a mutation, the DNA itself allows you to spec in very interesting ways. Oh, hydrate again. Cheers! Thank you, Wurmple. Have some water to help with the salt. Thank you. Yeah, the mutation system does a wonderful job making every run unique while making it very difficult to become overpowered. Because, if your stats exceed a certain amount, if your stats on your DNA exceed a certain amount, it will delete itself at the end of your run. So you have one run with overpowered abilities, potentially, and then you go back to normal, and I think that's really cool. So if you have the right stuff, you can make your build be so strong, and then just be back at square one the next time, and I think that's really, really cool. Yeah, I think that system is really cool. It's a finely crafted experience. If you like the genre, it's worth a try. Is it worth it? In my opinion, very yes. This game is upper A tier, if not S tier. I think I'm gonna put it in A tier for now. Because, sometimes, when I feel satisfied in, Double Cross, for example, I felt more satisfied with my victories than I do in Beacon. But that's not to say that Beacon isn't amazing, and that I do keep coming back to it. I have to say, it was most difficult to put as an icon on here. You probably can't even read it very well, because the game doesn't have a logo. Not really. So I had to work with what I could get, and that's the font of the game. But if you like roguelikes, definitely check it out and see if it's your cup of tea, because, I'm gonna say, it's definitely more in the vein of Enter the Gungeon, kind of. I mean, the game doesn't have shops, but that's sort of, you shooting around and stuff. That's definitely closer to that kind of game than, Hades, I'd say. It's definitely closer to Gungeon than Hades. And I haven't even played Gungeon, but I've watched people play Gungeon, so I think I can say which one it's closer to. Alright. What's next? Aw, Shutter Stroll! Oh yeah, Shutter Stroll. Okay. So Shutter Stroll is a photo-taking sim, alright? And while that may not sound like everybody's cup of tea, the game is very beautiful. So basically you have these different locations, which are their seed. Shutter Stroll seemed really cute. It is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. I mean, I also broke the game, to hell. But the game is $5. You can play it as long as you want, so the length of the game is infinite and none at all. But the genre, I called it a walking simulator screenshot, and the aesthetic of this game is randomly generated as well. So the sky can be a different color, the ground can be a different color. So you can encounter some really interesting views and really interesting terrain. And I think that lends itself very well to the unique photo-taking opportunities that the game wants you to have. The pros is that it's relaxing, gorgeous landscapes, no rush, and no lose. Game like, whatever you want, baby. God. The cons is that it's super bright in some areas, and the terrain gen needs a little bit more refinement. As it stands, the islands you get very easily become just big squares in the middle of an infinite ocean, with like sometimes really big cliffs that you need to circle around back to your boat in order to climb back up onto land. So it definitely needs some work to make it so there are definite areas where you can more easily walk back onto the island if you fall off. Because I don't mind if there are high points that, like, if you fall down, you're, like, in the ocean or whatever, I don't mind. If there are tall points near the cliffside, near the edge there, okay, I don't mind if there were cliff sides. There we go. That's what I mean to say. But I do think that, having to walk entirely around the island to get back onto land is a bit of a problem. A bit of a problem. And I encountered it on, I think, multiple of these terrain gens, so it's an issue that needs to be worked on, but, I think that, yeah. When I was playing the game, I said that this game is great for inspiration. And yes, it's wonderful inspiration. Absolutely wonderful. Like, you can go there and you can think on the lore of this game, and, or not lore of the game, but you can come up with lore as to why these areas look the way they do. They look utterly alien, and yet so close to home, and I love that for it. It's beautiful. So, but here's my review for it. Shutter Scroll is not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But if this game sounds at all appealing to you, it's probably worth picking up. The game is still in development. Okay, this one is still in development. Most of the rest of them aren't, but, like, it's, okay, so there's one asterisk to, the whole Stellaxy thing, but I definitely still think that Shutter Scroll could be a finished game. And it's definitely not in, it's definitely not in alpha. If anything, it's just early access, which it's kind of replaced beta for some games. It's hard to put a label on that. Yeah, the game is still in development, so some changes will likely be made in the future, but so far every improvement I've seen has been a good one. And that continues to after I played the game. There was another update that Shutter Scroll got that fixed some bugs, made it more optimal, yeah. Notably, they didn't fix the bug where I can glitch the camera into the ground, which is how I enjoyed playing. I think they maybe made it a little bit harder to do, but they did not patch it. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but if it's intentional to leave the game like that, thank you, Janik. I believe that's the developer's name. If I pronounced that wrong, oh man, I'm so sorry. But yeah, is it worth it? Yes. Yes, okay, so, especially since on itch, every time a copy gets bought, a free one gets put on the page, effectively meaning every purchase buys 2 copies of the game. Which means right now, if you wanted Shutter Scroll, go check on itch. It could be free right now. There could be a free copy available. Yeah, Janik, Boyson. Yeah, they seem like a really chill person. Honestly, if I'm not following their Twitter, I should be. I'll have to check after stream. They seem like a really fun person. But yeah, they wanted to make sure that their game was available even if you have financial barriers, which is why if you buy one game, you're giving to somebody else who can't afford it. And I think that's beautiful. I've seen sometimes only 2 copies available, sometimes I've seen 20 copies available. It's really touching to see community come together. So if you want to contribute to this pile, go buy Shutter Stroll. If you want Shutter Stroll, go see if there's one available. Right now it's only available on itch. Yes, like, you can pick up this game right now, potentially. So Shutter Stroll, I'm going to say it's in the A tier. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It's beautiful. I could use this for inspiration. It does heat up my computer a bit, so it's not something I could really stream more of. But it's definitely good. Like, yeah, it's definitely lower A tier. I think, like, if it added more features somehow, it would definitely be solidly A tier. But as it stands right now, it's between a, like, upper B, lower A. Yeah, I think that's fair. Alright. I forgot that I played these games back to back. Strange Horticulture. Now, Strange Horticulture is a very, very interesting game. Strange Horticulture is a game where you have a shop full of magic plants, and the puzzle is identifying which ones do what. Identification puzzles like this are, like, few and far between. S tier from Wurmple. Alright, well, we'll get to what I think about it in a little bit. Yeah, so identification puzzles are definitely an underutilized kind of puzzle, and I love them. Please keep playing music, thank you. I love identification puzzles, and this game is all about that. Sometimes identification is process of elimination, which is alright, but yeah, in an under-tapped market, for this, like, there's a lot of untread territory for this kind of puzzle game, and I think that it is exploring it beautifully. It is exploring the possibilities, and I hope that we see more games like this in the future. Let's see, I say it's 5 to 8 hours first playthrough. Again, it depends on how long you're playing through, how long you spend poring over the book, and if you take notes. Like, yeah, also for the record, this game is $15. I want to put if I've forgotten to put some of the prices of these games up front, sorry. So the genres, yeah, it's puzzle, identification, detective, it's got multiple endings. I have it also listed as dialogue simulator. Is that a thing? They are in the doc, right? I put the links to the games in the document. I'm going to release all my reviews after stream for public use, for public reference. Right now, though, I just have, a list of all the games. So if you're looking for, like, which games are coming up, it isn't wrong. It's not wrong. It's not. It does have a lot of dialogue. Yeah. Speaking of that, though, I don't have this listed as a pro, but it's almost all recurring characters, all, like, plot important characters. On their page in a booklet, you can see all of your conversations with them, so you know what's going on if you forget. I think that's wonderful. That's beautiful. And yeah. Let's see here. The pros: beautiful plants. Mwah! Wonderful plant design. So good. It's got fun puzzle dynamic and creative gameplay. Like, I should also probably put that it's definitely relaxing. I'm gonna put that right now. It's relaxing. Because even if you get it wrong, like, the consequences are very small. Like, you will win this game eventually. And it's just very chill. Creepily relaxing. Yes. Yes. Like, it's a little bit unsettling. Not, like, yeah, it's not too creepy. You love to perceive me nuts. I believe they're really called Mellow Glow, but let's be real, they're Perceive Me Nots. That's their other name. The cons of this game, though, it doesn't do enough with its mechanics, and there's not enough choices. So what I would have loved was if there was like kind of a web of choices that overlapped, and so like some of your options will lead you towards specific endings, and then they like conjoin to like a common ending for most of your choices. Yeah, like a lot of games do this sort of thing where they have like a web of options that funnel you into specific endings with maybe slight differences, and I think that Strange Horticulture could have benefited greatly from this. As it stands, there are 8 different endings, and there's slightly different flavors of them depending on if some characters are alive or some aren't, but for the most part, most of your choices are pretty linear, pretty, yeah, the way that the endings are handled, I don't think they did a very good job. And as for it doesn't do enough with its mechanics, most plants are used for a single puzzle and nothing else. Lower choice would definitely have been better. Yes. Yes. Especially if there were like sort of open-ended things. Like poison the cop. Poison the cop! Yeah, poison the cop. Just become a mass murderer instead of just a murderer. Because yes, this game you can become a murderer. Yeah, it's, yeah, I would have loved if there were more ways you could handle situations. Like, if there was just one person who's just like, yeah, I need a solution to this problem, I'll take anything. And then there were, like, you know, a pile of, like, this will have this happen, this will have this happen. I think that would have been really cool if there were some mechanics like that. So then you could, like, hell, you could give that person Gilded Dendra. Or you could give that person some Mellow Glow. You could do all kinds of things. And, it would lump it into, like, 2 categories, maybe 3, like, depending on what you gave them. And I think that would be really cool. But, there's also the elixir mechanic, which they add, like, most of the way through the game. You make, like, 3 or 4 elixirs and then do nothing with it. Left I remember the name of Fantasy Plants. I had to spend a lot of time editing it. Like, I'm still working on the series itself, on YouTube. So, I'm still gonna go through a whole bunch of them. But I remember a lot of them, yeah. A lot of them. Not all of them. But let's see here. My review. I love games where I try to identify things that are in them. That is the entire premise of Strange Horticulture. You lovingly learn each plant's name, what it does, and the one time you get to use it. Yes, most plants of the game are used one single time and then are left to your collection. This game suffers greatly from quantity over quality, and as such it also takes some hits to its experience. However, it's still a chill, relaxing game and a fun look into an underexplored genre. Ending hunting. Yeah, you played this game non-stop, and I'm still thankful that you recommended this game to me, by the way. Like, thank you. I loved it. Oh yeah, I missed the most important line of this review. Also, you can pet the cat. That most important line of the whole thing. Is it worth it? I believe so. Poring over notes and tagging plants is something I wish I could do over and over. Yes, very, very good. But where do I put it? I mean, it's definitely A or S, but Ooh. Where do I put it? Where do I put it? I think I'm gonna put this game in the top of A tier. S tier! I think there's just enough of like the decision-making stuff, barring Strange Horticulture from being S rank. Just enough to keep it out. But because it's untreated territory, I understand why this happened. Like, I think it's very, very good. It's so hard for me to decide whether it should be A or S. So, yeah, it's definitely up there. And the fact that I'm still reeling from it, just making this decision, just goes to show how good it is, how good this game is. Yeah, I really, really like it. I really like that game. Sass tier! Yeah, because I'm going back and forth, and that was a good one. Alright, next game, Yinglet! So, Yinglet is, it's a platformer game. I wouldn't say it's precision. It's definitely not precision platforming, but it's a platformer game where all the platforms are actually bubbles. So you jump from bubble to bubble, and you kind of have this little 2D space where you can move around freely and then jump to another one. So there's still gravity between the bubbles, but inside the bubbles, you're suspended, and you can go in any direction you want. And I think that's really, really cool. Like, I've never seen a platformer do something like that. Just so cool, so cool. And it has reactive visuals and reactive soundtrack, so as you jump, as you swim, the visuals will change, the sound will change, and it adds a lot to the experience. To a successful jump, you hear like little chimes, and it's just wonderful. Like little blooms will appear as you successfully land. It's wonderful. And it's also as difficult as you want it to be, because if you can set your checkpoints anywhere you want, as long as the platform isn't moving, as long as it's not a threat, you can set a checkpoint at that bubble, at that platform. And that's really, really cool. And there's also like a very fun dash mechanic. I think it's, yeah, I'm gonna say up front, it's really well done. It's priced at $6. It's pretty short at 1 to 2 hours, unfortunately. But, yeah. Let's see here. Pros, it's unique. Go at your own pace. Easy checkpoint system. Gorgeous reactive soundtrack and visuals. Cons, white background can be a little eye strain. Puzzle levels are a bit strange at first. The level select is difficult to navigate. So these are very basic, like, one of them's kind of a UI thing, one of them's kind of an expectation thing, and the last one is just, the game is a white background. It's white with some line art, and if you have it in full screen or maybe in a dark room, it might hurt to look at, so do that at your own risk, I guess. But yeah. Here's my review. Yinglet is unlike any other game I've played. While the devs recommend a controller, using a mouse is still simple and effective. And I believe that. That's very, very true. Like, it was just like, hey, play with controller for best results. And I played it with a mouse, and it's still so good. Like, the mouse is well incorporated into the controls. They definitely supported it, keyboard and mouse players. Maybe touch mouse pads, maybe not so good, but as playing with a mouse, I had like minimal issues. Like maybe some jumps were a little bit harder, but none were agonizing. Yeah, momentum in this game is nailed spot on to make most jumps, no matter how small, feel satisfying and wonderful. Being able to set a checkpoint in any safe platform brings security exactly where you want it. The mechanics build on one another, rewarding experimentation and trial and error. resulting in chain reactions of glorious speed. The story is simple and doesn't get in the way of the gameplay, which is absolutely the star of the show. I would be willing to play this game multiple times through. Is it worth it? Yes, a very fun game, striking just the right amount of chill and difficulty. So while I'm willing to play this game multiple times through, I haven't yet. I wouldn't mind speedrunning it someday, maybe, but, yeah, I think it's very good. I love the indie space because we can get games like Inglet. Like, this game wouldn't come about from, like, a AAA studio, usually. There's a lot of risks that this takes. That said, the game is pretty short. Like, I don't want games to overstay their welcome, but I feel like there's just so much possibility for Inglet. And I hope there's a modding community out there, because there's just so much that could be done, and I want there to be more. So I think I'm gonna put it... Oh, am I gonna put it in another A tier? Am I gonna put it in another A tier? I think it's there. I think it's there. I think it's between Beacon and Perspectrum. Because, yeah, I think, like, Beacon has more replayability than Inglet, and Yinglet has more replayability than Perspectrum. I think that's where my brain is going. You choose games you thought you would like. It's okay if you actually did like them. That is true. That is true. Yeah, yeah, so I think, yeah, that Inglet is, I think it's better than Perspectrum. Yeah, that feels right to me. That feels right. I'm alright with, like, if I never play Perspectrum again, but if I don't play Inglet again, I think I'd be sad. Inglet is very good. And if you like platformers, that's a very unique one. Like, very interesting. Okay, here we go. Vignettes. I'm gonna move this up here so you can actually see its icon. So Vignettes is an exploration game where you explore objects. And you change the perspective of an object to transform it into another object. And it's the most mind-bending shit. It's okay if everything is SA or disappointment. Yes, the 3 tiers. You remember this one? Yeah, I remember you going like, this is word salad. Word salad. So the game is $8, and it takes about 3 to 5 hours to 100% the game, if you're good at it, I guess, if you understand what's happening. I called it Puzzle Exploration, Secret, Experimental, Mind-Bending, Casual, and Relaxing. I think that does work, yeah. The pros: clever, unique, surprising, cute, and distinct aesthetic. Word salad speedrun when? Oh god, how do you speedrun this game? I don't know. Because that's just going to be a flurry of... And I'm like, what? I don't think I could do that. Like, you're just turning an object so much, so fast, like... No, I don't think I could. I don't think I could handle that. Let's see, but the cons for this game. Eye strain, the trumpet zone gave me sensory overload, 2 puzzles are convoluted, and it's a bit clunky. When I say that the trumpet zone gave me sensory overload, I don't think I'm exaggerating. Maybe I didn't collapse from the sensory overload, because I collected myself enough, but I definitely did get sensory overload. So basically there's an area in the game that the background is sort of a kaleidoscope, and it keeps shifting and changing, and there's sort of this trumpet that keeps playing in the background, and it's so loud. It's so loud. I did not like that area at all. Every time I went there, I tried to figure out how to leave as soon as possible. I tried to make sure that I did what I came for and just go, run away, run away. Yeah, so I did not like that one. I did not like that area. But most of the areas, like, they fit one aesthetic, and they explore a different kind of puzzle, and, like, so, like, I'm gonna say that there are 3 tiers of puzzles in this game, okay? There's discover every object. There's, the phone number. You need to basically solve a bunch of puzzles, as in, like, secret puzzles that are hinted at in one of the menus, to unlock a phone number. And then there's the voodoo puzzles, and I say voodoo as in, like, it's witchcraft. I don't know what exactly to describe it as, but there's those puzzles as well. Like, the kind of witchcraft voodoo ones are kind of self-contained into one area, and the phone number puzzle is spread across the entire game. Welcome back, we're talking about vignettes! So, with those 3 tiers of puzzles, there's a lot to explore, and there's a lot of backtracking. So the fact that the game is pretty clunky with switching between objects can be really, really wild. Here's my actual review, though. Vignettes is a game where you explore objects, not places, yet still every object reflects a theme in the place it is from. Without words, the mechanics can be difficult to get the hang of, but once you understand, it's a relaxing experience you can't find elsewhere. Sometimes the mouse controls are slightly clunky, and it's surprisingly easy to get lost, but you can always go back to the beginning. Is it worth it? Yes, 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 yes. It's unlikely there will be another game quite like this one, especially recommend if you like the perspective bending in other games like Superliminal. So yeah, perspective is key in vignettes. And it's definitely a puzzle game that you can't get anywhere else. However, if I have to rate this game, I'm gonna put it... I'm gonna put this game... Like, some of the puzzles are, like, really wild to actually get. Like, where, like, the hint for the puzzle is in an unrelated area or something of the sort, and, like, I think it's high B tier. I think it's definitely better than Shipwreck. It's definitely better than Shipwreck. But I think I enjoyed Shudder Stroll more, and there's this sort of divide between the 2 games, I think. I think Vignettes is B. Only a little disappointing. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's not even that disappointing, necessarily. Like, I was definitely satisfied with what I got. I don't know what it is about it that makes me go, yeah, this is B. Yeah, this is B. But I think it's B. Was joke. Okay. Let's see. What's next? Okay, The Savior. So this game, is only $2, and when I got it, it was free. I still paid $1 for it because I wanted to support a small creator. Why are you giving your game away for free? Maybe that should have been a red flag. Well, the length of the game I listed as 1 to 2 hours, and it's a platformer hack and slash. And it sort of has this deep, like, it's kind of gritty aesthetic, and the lore of the game is that you're trying to find the king's soldiers and bring them home, and, like, can you do it? You're their savior. But do you deserve it? Is how they, like, kind of pitch the thing, but, it's definitely a level-by-level sort of game, The Savior was interesting, but there wasn't a ton going on. Yeah, yeah. So, the pros, it has an easy-to-use revival system. I appreciate that. Overpowered block mechanics. Do you guys remember that? When you block, you're basically invincible from the front. It's kind of wild. It's got a decent amount of challenge. However, cons, it's clunky, only on itch. I don't know why I listed that one for this one in particular. There are a couple of games on here that are only on itch. It's got no music and no indication for traps. And yeah, I think, yeah, like, when there are traps in an area, you want to know that there are traps in an area, right? Because if you step on something and spikes come out of it, you kind of feel like it's a cheap experience. The first time there were spike areas, there was red lighting, so I kept an eye out for red lighting. Yet that never came back. It was just a warning that, hey, this time, there are spikes hidden in the floor. And then they just ambushed me with it later. And like, no. No, that's not good game design. Let's see here. My review. This game is a standard hack-and-slash platformer, nothing more. It doesn't need to be, and it does what it sets out to do. That being said, the lack of music is a strange choice, and being made by a solo dev, there are some parts that are counterintuitive or with no indicators. For example, there's one point in the game that appears to teach you how to spot spike traps. However, this indicator is never used again, but the spike traps are. This game would have greatly benefited from beta tester feedback. Yeah, the block mechanics, like I said, very, very strong. Ridiculously strong. There's also, like, the whole thing where there's, like, you can't touch water for some reason, but then later there's a swimming level? Why didn't you use something like acid or lava if you're gonna have a swimming level? It just felt very awkward. Is it worth it? It's $2 with very few glitches, so yes, it's a very good deal for the price. However, there's little replay value aside from the speedrun timer. So I'd say the Savior. Oh, so you think it's C tier, maybe low B? I was thinking between C and D, honestly. While Bubbles the Cat left me suffering, the Savior did not. So I'm gonna put it in low C tier. Like, Catlandia has so much entertainment value that, like, yeah, it's barely in, like, C over B, I think. But the Savior is probably what the C tier should be defined by. Like, it's okay. It's an okay game. And, like, it's a very cheap game, so that's, I think, what like, you're not expecting a lot of quality for the game. I don't even know if this person made the sprites themselves, so, hopefully there's credit for that if they did use sprites from somebody else. But that's something that I don't know for sure. I do not know for sure, so I guess take that with a little bit of salt. A little grain of salt. Alright. So, I actually played 3 tiny games that week, because the Savior was so short. And then the next game I played was only 30 minutes. You're biased mostly because the protag of the Savior doesn't actually appear to be human, so you can count them as non-resident. I forgot about that whole thing. I forgot. No face. No clothes. Yeah, so, Boa Retina. This is clearly an art game, okay? Like, you're paying $5 for an art game. And it delivers on a story, on a narrative, and that's what it meant to do. It's not meant for replayability, it's not meant for engaging gameplay, it's just meant for art and an experience. So it's art, story, bullet hell, visual novel, surreal. Yes, I did say bullet hell. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. The pros is that it's moving, it's a labor of love, and eye-opening. Pun not intended. The cons is that it's flashing lights and it contains triggering content. But the whole point of it is that it contains some triggering content. I have short with a question mark, and I think, like, no, that's not a con. That's not a con. It did exactly what it intended to do, and it didn't outstay its welcome. It really told a story, and it did so well. Yes. Review. This story is a story made by a trans person about her experiences discovering who she is, and the transphobia she's faced from both outside and within. This game made me cry, it's very intimate, and invites you to see from a perspective you may otherwise not get. It's games like this that remind me how valuable art is. Is it worth it? As an art experience is subjective, but it's something worth experiencing even if it's secondhand. So, if you don't feel like buying it, I understand, but you need to experience this game, I think. Like, I can understand if it's, like, the triggering is a little bit intense. Yeah. You think it would be around an A tier? Yeah, like, yeah, like, okay, I'm gonna say it's definitely better than Vignettes. It's definitely better than Vignettes. I feel weird about trying to rank this one because it's an art experience and it's very, like, it's very good at what it does. Should it be B? Should it be A? I don't know. Like, there's a bit of eye strain in the game. The bullet hell is kind of weird. Like, I get what that's meaning. Like, I get the meaning that it's like you're fighting, you're not giving up. Yeah, it's very hard to rank this game. It's very hard because the gameplay is not even the important part of the game, it's the art that is, and ranking art is very, very hard. Yeah, okay. I'm going to... Yeah, it might be better in unranked. Yeah, it might be. I think if we're going to rank the game as a game, it's going to be in B tier, but I think you're right, Wormhole. I think it needs to be unranked, because, the gameplay's not the important part. The important part is a person relaying her experience to the world. That's the important part. She's showing you a perspective. She's showing you what it felt like to her to be oppressed. And that's important. And it's too important to be ranked as a, like, by any sort of metric. It's important. Yeah, that's why we're putting it in unranked. It's too important to be ranked. But that leads us to the final game of that week. The Space Between. Now, The Space Between is another art game. Here's, like, okay, it's about 45 minutes if you know what you're doing. I did not. It took me a little bit longer. It's $6. And it's a walking simulator, it's surreal, it's atmospheric horror, narrative horror, first person. My pros for this game? It's purposely convoluted, well stylized, and a rich story. The cons: it's purposely convoluted, hard to read text, restrictive pace, and on-the-nose metaphors. Yeah. I'm gonna read the review out loud, because I think there's a lot to it that, that I should probably say. Like, I want to preface I'm bad with horror. I do not like it, I do not handle it well, so I will leave most of my feelings about the scare, I'll leave out most of my feelings about the scare of the game. The space between plays with pacing, your agency, and your perception of the narrative, with incredibly attentive control, catering the experience to be exact and yet purposely confusing. You will be lost playing this game. There are multiple characters in this game who have their dialogue displayed at the bottom of the screen, with no indicator as to who is talking, and sometimes any given text lingers for way too long, with no way to progress it manually. Your walking speed is deliberately slow, and the areas can be so dark it's hard to tell where you're going. This is all an intended part of the experience. If you like horror, maybe you'll find that appealing. A gripping part of the things it's trying to make you feel. However, it leaves me slightly bored when I'm not being scared out of my skin. Is it worth it? Not particularly to my taste. Art is subjective. So... You think it deserves its own tier of what the fuck? Yeah, it's very weird, and I don't think I can actually describe what it is. I don't know if I hated playing it. I think I'm gonna put it in lower C. I think it's lower C tier. Because, like, part of the medium of games is to give some agency, and this one decides to strip all that away. And I don't know if it suits it very well. Especially because with the whole surrealness of it, sometimes when you're just walking, it'll just whip away to a different perspective. It'll whip away to a different image. And it'll stay there for an exact amount of time and then go back to something else. And you're just dropped in with no context even. And, like, there's art in game form, and then there's art. Like, it almost feels pretentious. It's less of a game, more like a movie that you progress through. Yeah, and that just means you're not playing to the strengths of your medium. And that's a shame. That's a shame. Like, yeah. Like, there's not knowing what happened in a game. And then there's, like, what happened in this game? Like, I know somebody died. I know somebody died in this game. Multiple people died in this game. Maybe everybody died in this game. But I don't know who killed who. And, like, I don't know anything, really. It's definitely not for me. It's definitely not for me. I don't know if it's just pretentious. I don't know if it's just, like, our experiences just go, like, whoosh, and go past each other without really relaying much. Yeah, my perspective, yeah, it's C tier. It's C tier. Alright. From Orbit! It's $10. Here we go, right there. Yeah, the length is about 2 hours per run. If you complete the run, it's like 1.5 to 2 hours. And it's a real-time strategy, roguelike. It's procedurally generated, permadeath, action, top-down, sci-fi. Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's definitely an interesting game. Let me go ahead and go with the pros. It's simple, easy to learn gameplay, and a non-punishing class system, which I loved. I loved that about the class system of this game, is that you have 4 kinds of units, but, like, any given unit can switch between any of the classes at any time. Just takes a little bit to change form, basically. And I think that's really, really cool. And, just a Yeah, it's a good experimentation. I like that a lot. The cons, though, there's no in-game tutorial. Everything you learn about this game, you learn about it from a YouTube video. Like, you could give me a drop-down menu. You could give me, like, a question mark button to click. Anything. Fun game, but it wasn't much of note. Yeah, it is a little bit basic. It is a little bit basic, generic. Let's see, there's also no map, the AI can be funky, and there's not a lot of polish to it. Like, a lack of polish is evident in the fact that there's no in-game tutorial. Like, I think at like a $10 price point, you should probably have an in-game tutorial, or have the game be easy enough to understand without one. I think that's not unreasonable to ask. Again, I just want texts. That's enough for me. I think that's a must at that point. But review. This game is fun. It's just enough micromanaging, and you have to carefully balance how far you explore, and how well the pod is taken care of. It's just plain enjoyable. However, there are a number of issues which begin to pile up, such as no map, just a radar, no in-game tutorial of any kind, not even a how-to-play manual. The AI of your units rubs against the walls on the way to their destinations, and are fully willing to walk directly into one another without giving way, potentially ever. So they just go like... and just don't walk if you don't interrupt them, which... it just definitely needs a little bit of work on that front. I'm a really good writer. Thank you. I roleplay like all the time. Yeah, let's see. The difficulty scaling is also slightly off. This game needed a little more polish before it was called final, I believe. But no game is perfect. I still enjoy this game. The way it handles its class system is so fun and fresh, and I felt genuine fear at some of the massive enemy swarms. If there was more replay value, I would likely stream it again. Is it worth it? It's very fun, though replay value is a bit limited due to no difficulty system or ascension. If you don't mind that, then it's a good game. Yeah, I think I left out the, like, roguelike from this, in the fact that there is no, like, run modifiers whatsoever. If you start from orbit, you're going to run into probably the exact same things over and over again, with only variants being like where you encounter your your next crewmates, where harsh enemy spawns are, what planets are where. I think it needed one extra mechanic of some kind to really bring that replay value in, to make each run feel unique, and it doesn't have that, unfortunately. Even if it has, like, more than one final boss, it still doesn't have enough going for it. Like, I don't want to play through 2 hours of content just to get to a final boss that's different from the last one, which I don't think is true. I think it has the same final boss. I think from orbit, like, it's good, so I think it's going to be in B tier, above Shipwreck, but below Vignettes. It's a good game, but it needs something extra. It needs something more. Which is something that I think Shipwreck, it goes for Shipwreck as well, so I think these two can go together pretty well. I still think that it's a good game. I still think that, though. Maybe a little bit expensive for what you get. Alright, Knights of the Card Table! Priced at $5. I think this one may also be a mobile port. I don't know. I don't know for sure if it is or not. I've written the review like it isn't, but it might be. It might be a mobile port. Port from mobile. So this game is like a deck of cards is queued up, but you have a certain number turned over in front of you. And every time you, like, interact with a card, you will get a benefit of some kind. Like, either you'll kill an enemy, or maybe you'll buff your attack, maybe you'll get some of your HP back. Just like you have that queue of things coming in, the goal of the game is to deck out. To get out of cards. It's 5 minutes per level, but, like, it's got, like, over 100 levels. Knights of the Card Tables honestly seemed fun. You'd enjoy playing it personally if you had money to spare. Yeah, like, I think it's probably a good game to just play casually, but I really end up wanting that experience more on my phone than I want on my PC. And it wasn't really great to stream because it's one of those things where it's just like, find the best option and click it. Find the best option and click it. So, definitely not the best to showcase on Tiny Game Tuesday. My review. I will disclaim, I do not like mobile games on my PC. I'd much rather be able to play the games on my phone while I wait for things. When I play games on my PC, blah 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 blah, I'd rather play games that I get actively involved in. But as for the game itself, is well built, no glitches I can see, fun D&D humor, and easy to learn gameplay. However, the weapon system of the game is very strange and weighted heavily against you when you begin, only to eventually be completely lifted and leaving you no reason to not just use your most powerful die over and over and over again. If you get bad damage rolls as well, that's it. You have to restart the level over, and no amount of careful planning will keep that from happening. It feels like it's supposed to be a puzzle game, but it's more of a click and pray game. Is it worth it? If you enjoy mobile-style games on desktop, this one's not bad. However, I'm not particularly fond of the platform choice. So, there we go. That's my own personal opinions. And you guys feel free to disagree. Like, it's well constructed, the jokes are pretty funny. I think the game's alright. I think that this game can be lower B. That feels wrong, though. It feels wrong to put this game into C tier, but at the same time, I definitely liked Catlandia more, so maybe Catlandia is a B tier. Maybe Catlandia is B. Maybe it's... Oh, this is weird. This is weird. Yeah, I'm gonna put Catlandia there, actually. Catlandia, you just got a promotion. Yeah, I did enjoy Catlandia quite a bit. So that feels very weird to just suddenly jump it up, because it definitely has a real lack of polish, but... My god, though, I definitely had a lot of fun with that game. It's just fun. It's just fun. So I think I have to put it there. I have to. Catlandia's moving up in the world. It is. It is. I spent a couple hours talking about the other games to know. Yeah, I guess I did. Okay. Next game. Trawl. It's pay what you want on itch. It's $7 on Steam. So we've got a pretty big window of how much Trawl is worth. The length is like 10 to 15 minutes. The genre is kind of like thought-provoking writing simulator, casual, a little bit unsettling. The pros is that it's unique in one sitting. The cons: clunky controls, dimly lit, no direction, nauseating swaying. You can turn it off, but it's still very, no. Like, my goodness, you could get motion sick with this game, because, like, by default, the boat is rocking constantly at, like, a specific amount of degrees. So it's not like it's even, like, realistic to a boat or anything with, like, little deviations. It's just, like, a lot of rocking back and forth, and, like, no. No. Okay. But basically what this game is, alright, is you're on a trawling ship, and you have a net, you know, because you're a trawler, and you're trying to pick up stuff in the water, to piece together what happened out at sea. Now, that's not bad. Like, the concept is pretty cool. But, it doesn't do anything with that. Like, what you do after you try to piece together what happens, like, you get 3 random objects. No more, no less. 3. And then you go into the bottom of the ship, and you type out what you think happened, and then you throw a bottle into the ocean. And that becomes a document that's saved to your computer. That's it. That's all it is. You get, like, no closure, no nothing, and the game also doesn't explain what it's doing. There are buttons that just take you back to the main menu and make you start over. And how you find the objects is you have to turn the wheel of your boat until the radio is making a sound. When it's making a sound, you keep the steering wheel in that position. Realistically, this would turn the boat in very tight circles. So, it took me, I want to say 15 minutes to figure this out, because there's no direction on what you're supposed to be doing. And I can't understate that the controls are weird. I don't exactly remember what they were, but I know that they didn't really work right. And I don't even think having a controller would have fixed that issue. It just... Yeah, let me read the review here. The concept of the game is alright, however the developer could have used more time to develop said experience. I'll use one of the game's mechanics here to explain some of my frustrations. Yeah, to steer toward items to pick up, you need to turn your boat's helm to match static coming to the radio and leave it there. Realistically, this would mean you're driving in tight circles, dragging your net behind you, which is why it took me 15-20 minutes to figure it out. As a tech demo or mini-game, it's quaint and not bad. As a full game, I am left wanting so much more. Is it worth it? It's hard to argue with pay what you want, but I wouldn't be satisfied with the amount that's in this game for $7. Tokyo Drift Wind Waker Edition. Deja vu. That's not Tokyo Drift. But might as well stack on the memes. But yeah. I think I'm gonna put Trawl in... I think I'm gonna put it in... Is it gonna be the lowest ranked game I have? Trawl? I definitely was engaged with with the gameplay of Bubbles the Cat for longer. I definitely played it more. Toonlink is going wild with the boat. You shouldn't have let him drive. Yeah, I think Trawl... I think Trawl is fighting with Bubbles the Cat for the lowest spot. No, Bubbles the Cat's definitely better. Never mind. Trawl is probably the lowest one right now. There's just not enough. Not enough. Yeah, alright. Oh, Wormpole, it's time! Grow big or go home. Ultimate Edition. Okay, I want to preface this. I couldn't play the levels of this game. I don't know what happened, but I was stuck in the tutorial. Suggestion. Make a new tier! Okay. Price for this game, $9. Length? This is where the bad sign comes in. I didn't get that far. The length for this game, I just have it listed as I didn't get that far. And I don't know if it's a glitch or if it's intended, okay? Yeah. Genre. Time management, top-down, pixelated, fast-paced. Basically, though, think of it as Overcooked, but you're trying to grow plants, and you're alone. The pros, it has a good soundtrack and a good art style. I do think that the art direction on this was very good. The pixel art, very good. The music, boppin'. Very good songs. However, the cons, perfectionist difficulty curve. Actually, no, it's not like a difficulty curve. You know what? I'm gonna say it's more like, I know this is still called a curve. You know, actually, it should be this direction for you guys, probably. Like, I know that this is still called a curve, but it's a line. It's a line, and then it flattens at the top. So it's not quite a right angle, it's a little bit wider than that. But I want to say that's the difficulty of the game. And it also glitched. It glitched suddenly. Like, I'm 99% sure my game glitched. And I still can't figure out how to fix it. But the game will not let me progress past the tutorial. So my entire perspective will be based on that. First of all, the general tutorial is simple. Pick up items, move them, make plants happy. However, the window of time to do these things is exactly the same as the ability to do them. AKA, the game stars a beam of sunlight which crosses the room. Too little sun, your plants won't grow fully. Too much, they'll set on fire and burn back to being small. The window between having enough sunlight and having too much is an exceptionally fine line, especially when you begin caring for more than a single plant. I couldn't perfect the levels in the tutorial, and I am well aware the game gives you harder and harder challenges. The difficulty curve is immense. If your tutorial feels impossible, I feel as though something may be wrong. Also, level selection, at least for the tutorial, is a linear path, meaning if there was one specific level you wanted to do, you would need to play the ones before it before you could even reach it. Not just play, but get at least 3 stars, because you can't progress to the next level without beating the previous ones, unless this as well is a glitch. Overall, I did not particularly enjoy this game, however, I also did not get to experience it fully, and I'm not sure if that hinders or helps. Is it worth it? This game is so hard to get perfect, I won't recommend it if you want to get all levels 5-star, because it is not worth your sanity. If you want single-player perfectionist Overcooked, go nuts. This is the game you're looking for. I consider a cardinal sin if a game can't be played because the level is basically unbeatable. Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, even really difficult games that pride themselves on difficulty still have, like, the lower challenge is, like, the ending of the game, and then you have the post-game, where, like, if you need closure, or if you just want something, like, really difficult to play, they have this for you. Grow Big and Go Home is just all that. I don't know what went wrong, but something went wrong. And I feel like I don't know whether it should be unranked because I didn't play most of the game, or if it should go in D tier because, yeah, you'd put it under Troll. I mean, yeah, like it's either that or unranked. Like, is it fair? Is it fair to put it in a ranking if I didn't actually play it? If I couldn't play the game? Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's fair. New tier didn't function at all. That actually is, you know what, that actually is what I put Stellaxy here for. So I guess it is unranked. I think it's unranked because I couldn't play the game. Just like Stellaxy, it kept crashing and I couldn't play it fully. I was running out of stuff to really do in Stellaxy as well, but I still couldn't play the whole thing. So I think it's not, like, I think it's fair to put it in unranked as well for similar reasons. Also, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I would prefer to play Stellaxy than Grow Big or Go Home. I've spent many months, you know, they're unranked, so I'm just putting these in a chronological order. They're unranked, I'm not ranking the unranked. They're unranked for a reason. New tier, yikes. I'm putting that down here. I'm putting it in here. I think that's fair. I think that's where it goes. And, okay, next up, Quiet as a Stone. It's $5, and it's a sandbox game. Its length is as long as you want. I ran out of interest after about an hour. It's a 3D sandbox with a relaxing atmosphere. It's easy to quit, beautiful photo-taking mode, and has no pressure. But it has a very high CPU demand. Like, within minutes, my computer was very hot. It has a limited in-game tutorial. Some objects can't be moved after being placed. Shallow interactivity, and very clunky controls. Like, I can't preface this enough. Your camera was focused on the center of this island, right? And you could scroll in or out, but if you wanted to focus on, like, any other part of the island, you're out of luck. You're out of luck. Like, you can't look at anything other than the center, really. Like, the center of the whole island. That's it. That's it. Yeah, review. I want to like this game more. However, there's just not a lot there, and the clunky controls don't make it any easier to utilize what is there. The camera's always centered toward the middle of the island, making it difficult to work on anything that isn't the primary focus of your scene. Not to mention, it's difficult to get going, as most of the controls are hidden from you, and you need to read them on your browser. The camera mode is quite wonderful, and definitely the primary focus of the software. Is it worth it? Not in my opinion. But it's wild that, like, yeah, I like it more than Grow Big or Go Home, definitely. And there's definitely more enjoyment than Trawl to be had, because it actually has some gameplay. Like, yeah. Ooh, okay. I'm getting some weird feelings now, because we have some hot competition here. Do I like Bubbles the Cat more than the space between? It's these sort of moments that really put into perspective, like, your experience with them. Do I like Bubbles the Cat more than the space between? And I think the answer is yes. Yes, I do. I guess that means that Bubbles the Cat is actually C tier. Because, like, okay, these games kind of feel empty. And I think that's sort of... Posture check, thank you very much, Giggle Klutz. I think that's kind of becoming a defining point of the D tier, is that there's not enough there. Either, like, story-wise, gameplay-wise, something like that. And I still don't think the space between goes into D tier because it's still a complete game. Hydrate, thank you. Cheers. And we're gonna do a little bit of stretchy. Stretch your arms up. Up. I forgot to do the classic thing. There we go. I'm gonna stretch over to the left. Stretch. Feel the burn. Stretch over to the right and stretch. Ooh, that feels good. Twist the spine. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Oh, this is one of the latest I've had, like, a stretch be redeemed for the first time. Ooh, and it shows. Oh my god. Alright. Also, I love this song, by the way. It's really good. So, yeah, I think that the space between, as a completed game, I don't think it deserves to go into D tier. No matter my opinion of it, it's a finished, whole experience. It's not like it's missing anything, it's just something I didn't like. And I think that means that it can go into C tier. Even if I enjoyed the gameplay more in Quiet as a Stone, it doesn't feel like a full experience, while this does. And so, yeah, just because I liked the experience that Quiet as a Stone was giving me, doesn't mean it's a better game than The Space Between. So that's where I'm gonna rank that. Okay, next up, Capybara Spa. Okay, so I specifically picked out this game because I was traumatized by Grow Big or Go Home, and I wanted to make sure I had something nice to play. So I bought Capybara Spa. The length is about 6 hours, and it's priced at about $8. It's an idle, casual, point and click. It's cute. Those are the genres I've put as its primary mechanics there, like its genre. The pros is that it's mindless, low stress, no lose, adorable art style, and easy to learn. But it has no gameplay depth, a couple glitches, and a high CPU demand. So, it took up a lot of energy for my computer to actually run this game. For not a lot actually happening. Like, there's a lot of 3D models and stuff when, like, yeah, I don't think it needed to be that clear and crisp to still be very cute. If the developer was a 2D animator, I know that they're not. I know that they work in 3D models and stuff, but if it had a 2D art style, that would have severely cut down how much CPU it needed. But no, everything is 3D rendered. Everything in the game is 3D rendered. Except maybe the platforms. Maybe those aren't. But I think it would have benefited from more stuff being 2D. Because it still would look the same. It would still look the same. Review. Capybara Spa does what it sets out to do, and nothing more. Idle clicking, relaxing gameplay, and heart-meltingly cute visuals. It's adorable first, and gameplay second. It's best enjoyed while multitasking, such as talking to someone else or watching TV. However, the game has no replay value and no complexity in Capybara's orders. They ask, they receive, and while it's nice to have something so relaxing, more special capybaras to look for might have been the addition that needed to scratch that something is missing itch. I also encountered a couple of visual bugs in my achievements not registering when I first booted up the game, but restarting fixed all my issues. Is it worth it? If you're a fan of idle click-to-win games, it's hard to go wrong with this one. However, if you're on the fence, it'll wait for a sale. Yeah, it's... Yeah, Capybara Spa is... It was fun, but is it really good? Is it a good game? Well, okay. It's above, for me, Knights of the Card Table. And the two fill a very similar niche. You know, you click to play. And it's very, very simple gameplay. So I think that puts it into B tier. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's better than Knights of the Card Table. I think that's where it goes. Again, these two fill a very similar niche in, like, what you would play them for, but take it in very different directions. And that, I mean, I think makes Capybara Spa more worth the price. To me, personally. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Mysteries under Lake Ophelia! Oh, okay, so this one's interesting. The length is 2 to 4 hours. I kinda got stuck because I didn't realize I had the wrong thing equipped, and I spent most of the game with the wrong equipment. Yeah, so it's $5, and it's a fishing game. It's casual, stylized, in third person. It's engaging, easy to pick up, and has fantastically rendered fish. Fantastic. I knew exactly what most of these fish were. And as an animal nerd, that really appeals to me. These were really good fish models. I love them. But, however, it's got underutilized mechanics and not a lot of mystery, which, for a game titled Mysteries Under Lakeophilia, is probably not good. Oh wow, I said a lot of things in this one. Okay, review. Right off the bat, I was hooked! Get it? Anywho, on booting up the game, I was in love with the art styles involved. The game really nailed that retro aesthetic, and the claymation assets were fun as well. Fishing was also nice, with fish being easily identified and close to their real-world counterparts. Progression was well-paced, once I figured out switching rods is just like switching lures. I finished the game in all one sitting. I misspelled that one. No werewolf lumberjack husband, D tier at best. However, I didn't see much use in the cooking mechanic, as it wasn't properly explained how it helped, or what would even create a good dish. Fresh and saltwater fish are put in the same bodies of water, and without regard for depth. Tropical fish live in the depths, deep sea fish are in the cave. This could be intentional to make the lake weird. However, seeing such accurate fish models left this feeling jarring, but not in any way that was unsettling. At the end of the game is not foreshadowed, except only in the barest of terms, leaving the final scenes feeling like a letdown and unearned at the same time. A bit more build-up would have made it much more satisfying. Is it worth it? Very fun for the price, but 99, probably even 0.9% of the game is a fishing game. If you're looking for one of those, it's very fun. If you want a game full of strange oddities and mysteries, pass. And that just sums up why I think that this game isn't really a success. It's because Mysteries Under Lakeophilia, you better deliver on the mystery. And there was no mystery. There was fishing. And it's a very good fishing simulator. It's a very good fishing game. But not a good mystery game whatsoever. There is no mystery. The mystery is delivered by the merchant, who says stuff like, oh, you know, people went missing here. Yeah, weird fishing, no mystery. Yeah, all the fish are real fish. All of them. Except, I guess, the big one. You know, the end game one. Like, going to get that last fish, you know, the final cutscene thing, that was unsettling, and if they leaned more into that feeling as you got deeper and deeper into the lake, this game would be amazing. This game would be up there. But they didn't. They made a fishing game first and gave it a weird ending. So I definitely had more fun with this game than Knights of the Card Table. Did I have more fun than Capybara Spa? Yes. Yes, I did. But I think Shipwreck beats it out. So I think it's a B tier. And you know what? I like that the middle tier is looking pretty big right now, because that's kind of what B tier is for. You know, it's like, it's not good. It's good, it's not great, it's not exceptional, but it's also definitely not bad. It's not a bad game. Yeah, I think that's a good spot for it to be. Alright. So let's see, what's next? Right! Okay, we're very close to the end here. We got 4 games left. And, this is the last song in my playlist, so I hope you guys want to hear it all over again. Hopefully it loops. If it doesn't, whoopsies! Yeah, okay, so, yeah, right, it's $5. I didn't finish this longer than 4 hours, if you're bad at precision platformers like I am. But yeah, it's a precision platformer, it's got collectibles, it's pixel, and it's 2D. And that pretty much sums up what this game is. It's just a precision platformer, nothing really more, nothing really less. The pros, it's got good sprite work, it's got a nice soundtrack, and the gameplay is satisfying when you can actually do it. The cons, though, it's really sensitive controls. Like, I know precision platformers, you need to have some sort of sensitivity to the controls. But, for Right, it was unneeded just how precise it was. Like, I couldn't get a short hop. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get a short hop. And yikes. And there's also, like, no quirk to your movement. You're just jumping around, and you can wall jump, but that's not really a quirk. That's not an iconic thing. Yeah. Cons, worlds do not have unique mechanics, and the sound effects are also very repetitive. So, for example, if you have, there's these swinging blade things, and if they're in sync with each other, great, the sound effect only plays once. However, if they are out of sync even a little bit, it'll play the sound effect again. And so, there are multiple levels where you have lots of swinging things, and they're each making a sound, and oh god. Oh. Ooh. I hated that so much. But like that, that's a gripe. You can turn off the sounds, you can turn off the sound effects, which sounds like a nightmare. Yeah. Kind of is. Was kind of a nightmare, that part. Hey, playlist started over, let's go. Okay. Yeah, okay. So here's my actual review. I think this game is pretty good. The biggest drawback is that every core mechanic, as far as I can tell, is introduced in World 1. The entire game's the same sort of jumps over and over, and while entertaining, leaves very few levels actually memorable, in my opinion. The vine spikes are not even reskinned between worlds, which on the one hand leaves them visually distinct, on the other, misses the chance to have desert cacti. I ended up having to quit the game because one particular short jump was so precise I couldn't even achieve it while pushing any other buttons. Perhaps controller players don't have this issue, but unfortunately it left me unable to progress farther than when I was roughly halfway through the game. I'm sure short jumps become even more of a staple as time goes on. In conclusion, it's good but could have been better. Is it worth it? I wouldn't buy this again, but maybe try with a controller. Ooh. Yeah, okay, it suffers from being generic with, a lot of these games. Very generic. Like, yeah, Shipwreck is generic, From Orbit's a bit generic, The Savior is very generic. And I think that's one of the things that Right suffers the most with, is that it's just the same. It's the same, over and over again. And that leaves its jumps, like, this tough jump is just like the last tough jump, which means that it doesn't feel satisfying after you've done it. And while I do like how self-contained a lot of these levels are, and they're very visually appealing, they look nice and clean, I don't remember most of them. Like, again, the same. It's the same. I think I'm gonna put it above The Savior? It's definitely a complete game. Oh, hydrate! Oh, I am out of water now. let's see if I can finish this before having to take a break. Because after that, I'm definitely going to want to talk more about this stuff, but I don't want to take a break until I finish this part because we're so close. We're so close. I mean, the level of polish in Right, it feels a little bit wrong to put it down here. So, but I definitely didn't like it as much as Knights of the Card Table, so I guess it has to be down here. Like I wouldn't call this a B for me, so we're just gonna put it down there. It can be at home down here with the space between. It can be at home there. Alright. Now, Shredded Secrets. Ooh boy. C.5. Shredded Secrets. You guys remember Shredded Secrets? Oh boy. Okay. So length of this game, it's about 2 hours. About 2 hours. And it's $5. Metaphors. Yeah, that's one pretty distinct thing about it. Genre, it's a platformer, it's stylized, it's 2D, story-based, and it's got some action in there. Metaphors in action. That's you. Okay, it's got the pros. Engaging platforming, cute character designs, and an engaging story. Shredded Secrets is cute, but there wasn't much else there. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Let's see. The cons, that it's glitchy, poorly handled topics, and picador puzzles were common. The picador is well renowned for being one of the worst kinds of game design. And the fact that it's, like, all over the place. Like, I hope that was some of the influence of the children who made this game, because yes, children helped develop this game, and then it was funded and backed by people on Kickstarter. So I'm gonna hope that a lot of issues with this game come from people who are still learning, people who are still growing. But that doesn't mean that the game will escape my criticism. So, review. Before you pick up this game, know that there's triggering content and also one use of a slur. I had to move pretty quickly past that because, Twitch terms of service. Please don't get me. Yeah, this game was written by young girls in the summer camp. This is wonderful. I love seeing more girls being welcomed into gaming and game development. However, with the limited perspective that comes from youth, it's easy to think that these big topics have easy resolutions. The first two arcs at least had correct approaches, while the second two may harbor even downright harmful messages. Story aside, the platforming is fun, and many simple gimmicks do not overstay their welcome. However, one mechanic that comes into play many times is the picador. In many levels, you must go through multiple sets of doors, one after another, in an attempt to find the correct path. This didn't bring much to the table and often felt like a simple way to extend the levels. Metaphors the game has are very surface level, yet add a lot of character and charm. I don't hate them, but I can see how some players may feel as though it's overwhelming. Is it worth it? If you want to support more programs which get girls experience in game development, this game's $5 price point is not a bad way to do so. However, if you're looking for a satisfying platform experience, perhaps look elsewhere. And yeah, there's I think I'm gonna put it between Bubbles the Cat and the space between. Like, it started off pretty strong, but then it just leaves a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth as topics are handled improperly. There's questionable decisions for, like levels of platforming. Again, I don't know how closely they worked with these kids. I don't know. So there could be like a lot of just naivety in these kids being young. But I still think I stand firm in my rankings of this is where it should be. This is I think it's a C tier game. After that, though, we played Lunarada, which is only $3. It can be bought on itch, and it's about 2 hours to play. About 2 hours. And it's the first text-based adventure game I think I've ever played from start to finish. It's also got some pixel art, though, so at least that map was pretty nice. It's story-based, it's kind of RPG, adventure, sci-fi, like sci-fi fantasy, robo-husband, which one? It's got some deep lore, too. So the pros, fun character designs, useful map, and a good story. But cons, it's nothing new to the genre, unable to scroll up the command list, and it's difficult to pacifist, I want to say. Because I didn't try to pacifist the game, but I don't know how you're supposed to get past the angel. The angel at the end of the game. I don't know how you're supposed to get past, so I'm just gonna put that out there. Okay, my review. Now, I haven't played many text-based adventures. See, aforementioned, yeah. But I had a lot of fun with this one. Intriguing descriptions and deep lore are always pluses in my book. There are some things that are inconvenient, such as not being able to scroll up, no indication as to where you have left objects, and very limited dialogue pools. The game doesn't do anything new with the genre or story, but not every game needs to do such things. Is it worth it? It's not bad if you want to burn a few hours. Doctor was still husband, but not robo-husband. So, Lunarada. Lunarada. I think this game, I think its lore, okay. I think this game goes into B tier right here. I think that's where it goes. I think it's a B tier game. Like, it's decent. Is it memorable? Maybe not so much. The ending was a little bit to me, but I had fun with it. I think that's where it should go. Yeah. Yep. That's my opinion on it. Which brings us to the final game of Season 1, Polyroll. I know it looks like Polyroll, it's called Polyroll because you play as a roly-poly bug. And it's a Sonic-like game. I've only put the genre as platformer 2D in action, but it's also pixelated. It's got a lot of other genres I should put on there. It's $6, and it's about 4 to 8 hours total gameplay, I think. Yeah, if you want a 100%, I think that's about how long it'll take you. You know nothing of Polyroll, so take it away. So yeah. The pros to this game, it's an utterly nostalgic game. Like, you know the original Sonic? Yep. That's what this game is trying to go for, and I think it goes for that very, very well. Definitely you can tell the passion that's behind this. And it's got some fun power-ups as well. Although by fun power-ups, I mean the most fun one was being able to walk on spikes. I think that was very fun. And the bombs were pretty cool, but they nailed the Sonic aesthetic. The music! You're right, I need to put the music in there, thank you. The music was good. Yep. Yeah. Nailed the music. There you go, they nailed the music. As well. It's got clever bosses and beautiful pixel art. Yeah, the pixel art was very, very good as well. The cons. It has a poor HP system. It gets very precise. There is no volume control. And it also has this annoying ricochet mechanic. What I mean is, imagine if Sonic's spin dash could ricochet up walls, right? Now, if you try to aim a ricochet like this, it's very hard to do so. I feel like somehow incorporating a better wall jump for this ricochet would be better. Would have made the game so much better. But, trying to aim the ricochet places just so unsatisfying. And there's also not even many places where you actually do it, so I feel like they knew it wasn't that great. Unless I'm just missing places to ricochet all over the place. Like, the ricochet is kind of like their thing for like, hey, this is our thing, this is what makes it different from Sonic. And then they don't really use it, or at least don't use it much. So like, But here's my review. Holy Roll is a clear labor of love. It took what made Sonic iconic and gave its own spin on it, pun intended. The levels are clear and distinct. Each world brings something new to the table, and hidden collectibles add so much to the experience, from the gems to the extra hearts. However, on the topic of hearts, the HP system of this game is painful at best. When you respawn, you have a single HP and have to collect gems in order to gain more HP. In difficult sections, where you're actually prone to dying, there will be likely just enough to get one extra heart. So even when you have a higher maximum HP, it's meaningless if you actually die, because you always start off extremely squishy. Because of this low HP, many late game levels become precision platformers, which is not what the controls support. This leaves the early game nice and challenging, the boss fights tough, and then the late game agonizingly hard unless you take the time to farm HP in another level. That being said, it scratches that Sonic itch and is a great window into what Sonic could have been like if it was created today. Is it worth it? Yes. It's fun, well constructed, and has a lot of levels for the price point. Do recommend. Yes, it has a lot of content for $6. Like, 4 to 8 hours for $6 is really good. Especially if you like Sonic. Like, I think that's really good. I think that's really good. Like, I think I'd be willing to pay up to $10 for this, probably. So that's a pretty good deal. Notably, I didn't finish the final level because I was getting tired, and like I said, it got really precision platformy at the end. So I think I'm gonna put it above Vignettes. I don't think it's an A tier game, but just barely. Just barely. The HP mechanic really brought it down from A tier, but it can be the king of the B tier. I think that is my Tiny Game Tuesday tier list. Unless, like, let's give it another look over here. With Trawl being the worst game that I've actually ranked, to some distant memory being the absolute best. The best one of these games. And, wow. Just looking back on what I've actually played, like, this is a journey for me. Thank you for the hypes. Like, yeah, there's... Yeah, I'm looking over it one more time to see if there's anything that feels like I should move it around. And I think I want to... No, I think I'm good. I think this is good enough. You know, there's like a little bit of place to waver because, you know, personal opinion and stuff. It's kind of fluid, but I think this is a good general, like, which games you should go for. I think that, yeah, you personally think it's pretty good? You don't generally rank things often. Yeah, I don't either, not usually. So, I want to say that, like, the S and A tiers with, like, Shutter Stroll, Spectrum, Yinglet, Beacon, Strange Horticulture, Double Cross, Fallow, and Some Distant Memory, these are games that you should probably go, like, wishlist or go take a look at right now because they're really, really good. I love them. I love these games so much. B tier, I think, is more niche. Look at them, see if you think that it fits your boat. These ones are probably ones that I wouldn't exactly point people toward. That's not to say you might still like Right or Bubbles the Cat, but I'm not gonna point people in the direction of these games. Boa Retina is not ranked simply because it is art first, and I can't rank that. I can't rank that. No way. No way. And then these two games were unplayable. Quite literally. quite literally, they were unplayable. So that's my final rankings for these. So I'm gonna save that. Title of tier list, add description. Oh, okay. Tiny Game Tuesday Season 1 rankings. My opinion of Season 1's TGT, as of April 2022. Save. And I think that just goes to my profile on this website. Yep. Okay, cool. I want to go back to the tier list maker. Oof. Okay. Yeah, you could. I'm so confused about this website. Okay. There we go. So it does save like what I have here for now. Now take a break. Yes. Yes. All right. So we'll be doing some more things in just a little bit. But I'm gonna take a break quick. I'm gonna get myself a snack, and I'm gonna get myself some more water, and then we're gonna talk more about Tiny Game Tuesday and like what games we should play in the future, maybe, and what we've done, where we're going. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on an away screen, and I'm going to be right back. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, they'll be calling me royalty. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, they'll be calling me royalty. Broke all the cages, no, I won't sit and take it. No, no. They left me for dead, I guess I'll never learn. Every time I break, there's just more pain to burn. They'll never, never, never learn. Till the battle's won, till kingdom come. I'll never run. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, they'll be calling me royalty. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, they'll be calling me royalty.
too late, begging on the floor for me. I'm not the same, I'm standing on my own 2 feet. I'm taking back my life. All you did was use it, you break it, you lose it. Sorry, your time is up. Now I'm coming back to life. I'm taking back my love. Sorry, your time is up. Now I'm coming back to life. Now I'm coming back to life. I'm walking around in the circle of life, doing the things I know, walking the same ways 100 times with the same soul. But do you ever try to path on the right side, put it up in your mind? But do you ever try to path on the left side, put it up in your mind? It's gonna be alright. You run, try, roll your mind. 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 Seeing all the water rain fill your eyes, doing the things they know, talking about the same old stories they've heard about the people they think they know. But do you ever try to path on the right side, put it up in your mind? But did you ever try to path on the left side, put it up in your mind? It's gonna be hard. You run, try, roll your mind. You run, try, roll your mind. You run, try, roll your mind. You run, try. You run, try, roll your mind. You run, try, roll your mind.
It's just another doorway to open up and see what kind of lifeline will be waiting there for me. I need to bury all these fears and let them fade away. I'm not scared, I'm prepared to find myself again. I wanna fly over mountains, I wanna reach the end. I'll rise up from the ashes, I wanna burn again. kill my vibe. I fear the day that I lose the chance to fight. So I stand up tall, ready to face it all again. And I will not fall, I won't lose again. I wanna fly over mountains, I wanna reach the end, rise up from the ashes, and I wanna burn again. I'll find my way through the bitterness I'm feeling. I won't rest, I won't give up, I'm still healing. I'm still healing. I'm still healing. I won't rest, I won't give up, I'm still healing. I won't give up, I'm still healing. Big way when I'm walking, pray when I'm talking this to you. Fight for my attention, for your ascension, you must prove. Cause if you can find it, you don't confine it, you let it move. Make way for the genie, scream for the dream, may come true. Have you ever played with a queen? I can show you what I mean. I can make you feel free. I got you in another way. Can you meet me on my level? Oh baby, is your reign over? Can you battle with the devil? Oh baby, is the game over?
I'm back! How are y'all doing? You still holding up good? You still holding up good? And boop, there I am. Hello! How you guys doing? I'm gonna go ahead and switch over quick to the other mode of this site. Guess what? This site has 2 modes, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. I had no idea that tier list also had alignment charts. That's right. You can place things on a grid. I had no idea. So how about I go ahead and put on here expensive versus cheap. So, what I'm gonna do is put these things over here, and I want to see which of these games, according to my other rankings, gives you the best bang for buck. Which of these games is the best value for your money? At least length of gameplay wise, because damn if Fallow and like Some Distant Memory, like, those are some real big bangs. You'd love to say labor, you're getting tired, so you gotta hop off for now and maybe try to complete some more of your project. Thank you so much, Wormpole. I appreciate you. I was glad to have you here. But yeah, I want to just see which games like are the best cost for playtime. So games like Fallow were $20, so I didn't pay any more than $20 for these games. So note that expensive is subjective, you know, like it's not actually that expensive considering like AAA titles are $60. So like in reality this is probably closer to like this if we're gonna compare it to AAA titles, but because it's indie, $20 is up there. So I'm gonna put Fallow over here. It's kind of short and a bit expensive. But Beacon, on the other hand, Beacon is also $20, and you get more playtime out of Beacon.